Today on the Coaching Life Podcast.
Rather than something we need to look to our coaches to teach and instill, we got to recognize the heart your kids have on the court, on the field, it's already been built. You have been building it over a long term of their life, the formative years of their lives. Mom, dad, the people that you've surrounded them with, the influencers in their lives. This is something heart has been developed over a lifetime of experiences.
One day, a couple of guys sat down for lunch and a conversation began. They talked about youth sports, how to be better coaches, how to be better parents, how to be better at developing young people. Not only for the games they play, but for life. That's what the coaching life is, a conversation. And we welcome you. Now, here are the hosts, Chris Stewart and Pat Martin.
Hey, Chris Stewart here, speaking for both Pat and myself. Pat and I just want to take the opportunity to tell you thank you for listening to our podcast. We don't know how long you've been listening or if you even listen regularly and if you're a subscriber to our podcast, but I've had many people, I know Pat has as well, come up to me in public from our local area and say that they really enjoy the podcast and to keep going. And we can't tell you guys enough just how encouraging that is to us, because believe it or not, we are both very busy people, just like you are, and to try to squeeze another thing into our lives isn't always easy. And so we're really grateful to know that it has been useful to you. And if that's the case, we just really encourage you to do a couple things. One, tell other people about it. We love the fact that we might talk about something that sparks an interest in somebody else to say, you know what? That's a good idea. Or you know what? That's a bad idea. I got a suggestion for them. Whatever it might be, it's all about the conversation, as you've heard us say many times on the show. But tell somebody about it, spread the word, send them the link, whatever it takes to get more people in tune with us and joining our conversation. We would really appreciate you doing that. We want to grow the show, not for our notoriety or for our fame, but for all the kids who love to play sports, for the families who love getting involved in youth sports. And we want to make it as good as it could possibly be just by having some open conversations about things. Sometimes they're easy topics and sometimes they're difficult, but we really enjoy this and we do aim to keep going. And so we just wanted to take a moment to say thank you and we appreciate you.
Bernard Roy Hussell, 82, of Mount Alto, West Virginia, passed away September 4th, 2022, at his home, surrounded by his family, following an extended illness. Some people called him Moke. I called him Uncle Bernard. Uncle Bernard and Aunt Annie were a staple of my younger life. We would do Thanksgivings at their house. We would visit often. I would stay when my parents were doing other things. Bernard was this big burly guy, strong as an ox. He had watermelons for forearms and vice grips for hands. He reminded me of Popeye, but stronger and real. And he didn't need to eat spinach to win. I remember plenty of times at family events, my cousins and I would be in the living room. We'd be wrestling around with Uncle Bernard, and he'd grab our feet and he'd squeeze our toes together. It would hurt. He'd grab our ankles and he'd take us out to the porch and hang us upside down over the ground, which kind of felt like it was about 400 feet to the bottom, but I'm pretty sure it was only 6 to 8. He was hard-nosed. He believed in manners. He was a steel worker that retired to a position on a riverboat. He didn't stand for nonsense or disrespect, especially to women or to our country, or to the people that fought and died to protect it. I'm not sure I've ever known another individual that I feared so much, but loved so much. The same guy let me lay in his bed with him and watch wrestling. The same guy was a lifelong trustee and caretaker of a church and a cemetery. The same guy was a great farmer and a flower planter that loved to laugh and loved to tell jokes. He spent a lot of time in his later years traveling around, watching extended family compete in sports. When I think about my Uncle Bernard, I have this deep sense of sorrow for me, for my family, because we lost someone that was so important to us. But at the same time, I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity of having this man in my life to look up to. And that's where my real sorrow comes in, not for me or my family, but for our country, for our world. Because I know the type of man he was. I know that those type of men aren't being replaced.
This is the Coaching Life Podcast. My name is Pat Martin. I'm here in person with my good friend Chris Stewart. Coach, I was approached last week by an individual that asked me a question for a topic on our podcast, and as I was preparing to speak on that topic, I felt like it was a good opportunity to give a tribute to a man that meant an awful lot to me. And I think it's relevant because I think here as we talk through it, I'll bring up something that kind of ties back to why I believe who Bernard Hussell was is important to the conversation, not just important to me. But the topic that was brought up to me was the topic of heart. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what that means and what it means to an athlete during competition and how we coach that. I think it's one of those things that, you know, we're not for sure we can coach. You know, and I would say some people say you can't coach it. It's something that you either have or you don't have. And it's also something that might even be sensationalized a little bit in the midst of competition. You know, it's easy, you know, when things are going really bad.
Yeah.
You often hear somebody say, well, they kind of lack some heart right there at that.
Well, first, let me say that was a phenomenal tribute.
Thank you.
To Uncle Bernard. Yeah. Good stuff.
Appreciate that.
I'm looking forward to talking about this today with you because it's I think in terms of the answer to the question, can you coach heart or can you teach heart? Mm-hmm. I think you probably would hear more people say, can't coach it.
Yeah.
It's either there, you're either born with it or you're not. And actually, I just did a quick Google search of that very question. I put the quotation marks around it, said can't, or no, I searched it as a statement. You can't coach heart. And got thousands of links, right? Thousands of quotes, right? A lot of people say that. Yeah. Coaches, it's actually been a very common post-game interview statement by coaches that I watched some YouTube videos of, and like press conferences or talking to a news reporter, whether it be high school, college, or pro football, or pro sports, any kind of sport. The coach, you've often hear a coach say, well, you can't, our team played tough tonight, man. You can't coach heart, and they showed it tonight, and things like that. And I also searched, you can coach heart. And you know how many, this is funny. You know how many links came up on Google? 3.
Wow. No way. You could see the bottom of the page?
You could see the bottom of the page.
There were results.
Yes.
Interesting.
3 statements that I could find. Now, there's got to be some more out there. I don't know. And I put it around quotes, you can coach heart. Or I just put can coach heart. And there's not a lot of people believe it.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, when coaches say that, I think what they're doing is they're complimenting their players, or they're complimenting a player.
I wonder if they're trying to give the credit to their players there and say,
maybe they can't find the right, their words. And that makes sense to a lot of people. although I guess the question, I think it's a good thing to ask. What does that really mean? What does heart mean? Like,
yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, because it's not. Is it one of those things that you know it when you see it?
Yeah, I think certainly in the context of sports, you can see it. You could watch a game and see, man, that team's playing with some heart right there.
Yeah.
Because it's deeper. Like I thought I was brainstorming this. I jotted down because that's a tough question. Can you coach heart?
It is a tough
And so I wanted to
question.
make sure I was prepared before we talked.
Yeah.
And so I was like brainstorming. So what is it? Is it motivation? That's a piece of it, but it's
Yes.
deeper than motivation. Is it that want to?
Yeah,
right?
passion.
And is it passion? Yeah. I think it's a piece of it.
Yes.
But it's deeper than that. How do we define it? Like, how do you define what heart really is?
Yeah, it's tough.
I'll give it a shot. But
Okay.
you just took a deep breath, so go ahead.
Well, I was going to say for me, it's kind of like it's kind of akin to goals and habits. Mm-hmm. The goal doesn't mean much unless you have the behavior that gets you there.
Yeah.
And I would say when we think about heart, we're identifying certain behaviors that
Yes.
are commendable, encouraging, successful
Yeah.
over a period of time. What's the definition you've got for us?
When I think of watching somebody play with heart, I feel like we're watching someone who has a willingness to compete, but it's even further than that, even when the odds are completely stacked against you.
Yeah.
Like, if someone punches you in the mouth, right? You're either going to turn into a punching bag. You're going to stand there. You're going to stand, or you're going to run. You're going to turn and run, or you're going to do everything you can to break that person's jaw. Right? Whether and that person might be 6'4", 260 pounds, and you might be 5'3", 120, soaking wet. But by gosh, you're going to stand there and you're going to put up what kind of fight you can.
Somebody's taking a whipping.
Somebody's taking a whooping, and it's probably going to be you.
That
But
may
we're
be-
going to see what kind of heart you got.
That may be if you have heart, right?
Exactly.
That may be if you have heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody. Here's what I think of. I think of a person who has no heart lets other people walk all over them. They don't do anything to stop it. So let's translate that to a team. I think a team that has no heart just takes it.
Yeah.
You just take it. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to beat that team that you're playing against. They might just be a lot more talented than you, more athletic than you. They're just better than you. But by gosh, you can put up a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's an element of, when you talk about heart, there's an element of not allowing things to happen to you, but making things happen. And you can, the ultimate outcome of that in a sports context is irrelevant.
Right.
You can
Right.
you can be on the offensive. You can be making things happen and still lose. It may not work out the way.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, that actually adds to the virtue of heart when you know that you're doing that against the odds.
Right.
Right. When you know that you're not going to just sit there and accept loss or not expect to succeed, knowing that it's not going to be easy.
Listen,
That's part of it.
I heard a guy tell a story because I did a little bit of searching. I wanted to hear some people who talked about heart, whether it be motivational speeches or whatever. And I heard a guy telling a story to an inner city high school football team. And one of the things he said, listen, one, the context was heart has nothing to do with athleticism. It has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with your size or your speed, right? Heart is something it's something different. And he said, let me tell you about it like this. He said, when I was a kid, He said, when I was a young kid, I had to play outside. My parents wouldn't let me hang around in the house. So we were playing outside, and he said, I was a scrawny little fella. And he said, we had a lot of bigger guys in my neighborhood, older guys in my neighborhood. And he said, quite frankly, they were bullies. He said, they beat the crap out of me. And he said, here's the thing. My mom wouldn't let me come in the house. Like, she saw it. She saw it. She said, she's like, you're going to stay in the yard and you're going to learn to fight. And that was his word. He said, look, here's what I decided. He's like, look, these guys are bigger than me. They're stronger than me. They're going to beat me up every time. But here's the thing. I'm going to fight hard because no one wants to have a hard fight all the time. So if they know I'm going to fight hard, that might help me to end this.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So then he looked at him and he said, let me ask you a question. Do you fight hard? When the odds are against you, when the chips are down and you guys are getting beat 40-0 and you come out at halftime and you're down 40-0 already, are you going to fight hard? He said, if you don't have heart. If you do, that's heart.
Yeah.
Of course, our question today is,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. How do you
can
get
I
that?
coach that? Can we teach that?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think?
Well, go back to Bernard, Uncle Bernard.
Absolutely.
Who taught him those things?
Yeah.
And what was he doing for you?
Yeah.
What was he doing? He was trying to teach you that same heart, wasn't he?
And this is kind of out of sequence. I actually identified 4 things that kind of put me in mind of this discussion and, understanding heart and, how to have it, how to coach it. I would describe, I've never seen my uncle play a sport other than horseshoes at a
family reunion.
But I would describe him in this way. I would say, and these are classic sports adjectives or descriptors: gritty, leader, winner, and I would describe him as having heart. I describe him, and there's obviously I could describe him in a number of other ways, but I describe him in those ways not because of how he competes, but because of the type of person that he is. And that's, for me, that's affirmation of what we always talk about on the Coaching Life podcast, of of what you talked about in Building Champions and the Coaching Life, your 2 books that you wrote, of the importance of an athlete to strive to be the best person that they can be.
Yeah.
With the understanding that it's hard, man. It's hard.
It is.
Life is hard, and for you to wake up every day and have a goal, a focus on being better than what you were yesterday, that takes heart. It's hard to do. So for me, that focus, it directly translates into a sporting venue, a sporting context. The focus that you put on being the best person that you can be, you're going to do that in times that are not easy, in times that you're struggling, in times that you're challenging. That's those times in sports where this concept of heart shines brightest. And if you do it in life,
right,
sports is just is an extension of life.
Exactly.
If you do it in life, you're going to do it in sports.
And the opposite of that is not true.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Coach. It's not true.
Yeah.
You're
not just going to do it in sports.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Everybody has heart. We all have a heart.
Yeah.
For something.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
right.
everybody's heart beats for something, right? And we're not talking about that muscle that's inside your chest. We're talking about that spirit, that soul that you have. What do you really, really, like we asked last week, what do you really want, right? What does your heart really beat for? Or someone, I guess. I mean, some of you might be obsessed with somebody and your heart just beats for that person, right?
Right.
But whatever it is, I wonder if part of coaching it or part of learning to coach it or teach it is, as coaches, us helping them to reveal what it is. Like where is your heart really truly beating?
Yeah.
And how can we bring that kind of desire, passion, want to, motivation, all the things that describe, willingness to compete for that thing that your heart really beats for. How can we bring that over into this context?
Yep.
Where we want to work together as a team to win this game, this season, this entire
Exactly.
championship. I guess part of that is the idea of just starting where you are and saying, okay, I can get better over here by doing what I really truly value and what my heart beats for over here.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
And working on it a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it goes, and I have passion wrote down as one of my 4 things, because that was, from a parent perspective, obviously from a coaching perspective, but parents are coaches. We've talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Primary coaches, important coaches.
Yeah.
And
In this issue, I'm becoming more convinced, and I think we'll probably get to it here. I think in this issue, parents are the coaches for this.
yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
And we've talked about it. Kids, parents have come to me. Hey, what's the most important thing I can do for my 10U baseball player? What's the most important thing I can do? Is it mechanics? Is it is it strength? What is it? And obviously, I've went through an evolution as a person, as a coach over the last 20 years, and then even probably more so longer than that. That's what we do as human beings. Hopefully, if we stop doing that, then we're not living, especially the way that we want to.
Yep, exactly.
But my answer has more and more become: you need to encourage their love for the game, nurture that, and that's your starting point that you're talking about.
It is.
So it's football season right now. It's volleyball season. But I know for a fact. I went last night.
Golf and
watched,
cross country season too.
That's true.
Tennis.
I'm not allowed to go watch golf. It's kind of a secret story.
Okay.
I've been prohibited by one of the golfers.
Okay.
That I'm not allowed to go watch. Hopefully she hears this. I can give her a hard time about it. But cross country too. Megs has
Well, you talk about a sport where you need heart.
No
You're just
kidding.
not gonna finish.
That's a great point. Yeah, I shouldn't have left them off. I'm thinking about football and volleyball because that's where where I've been and associated with. But I went to a volleyball game last night, and I know for a fact that there were girls on the floor that are softball players. Right?
That's their favorite sport, their number one sport.
Yeah, that's their passion.
Their passion isn't necessarily for volleyball.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where, that softball, that's where they start. That's their starting point. And we, as parents, as coaches, we're encouraging and nurturing that passion that they have for softball. And then what you allude to is being able, as the volleyball coach, or even so, as a parent, to use that passion for softball to help the volleyball team the best that they can.
And one question you might ask your child or your player in that moment where you're trying to basically do this, bring that heart that they have for softball over into volleyball, is just simply ask them, look, where are your feet right now?
Yes.
Right? Be where your feet are and be the best in that moment, because right now you're not. You're probably still working on softball. You're probably still out hitting and throwing and doing softball things, but you're not necessarily. And maybe you're even competing in like a fall league. But while you're here at this practice in these games, you're competing for a volleyball title.
Yeah,
for a volleyball game.
You are, though, at the same time.
Exactly.
You're building
every
for softball.
Sport builds. Yes, every sport is going to build greater athleticism, this greater willingness to compete mindset for your other sport that you are truly passionate about.
Yep.
And that's one way to teach it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
How old did you say Uncle Bernard was?
82.
82.
Yeah.
That's a long life. And I'm going to make a point about that.
Okay.
I wonder if heart, rather than something we need to look to our coaches to teach and instill, we got to recognize the heart your kids have on the court, on the field, on the floor. It's already been built.
Yeah.
You have been building it over a long term of their life, the formative years of their lives. You have been mom, dad, the people that you've surrounded them with, the influencers in their lives. This is something, heart has been developed over a lifetime of experiences, many of which happen when they're really, really young. Yeah. I mean, really young, right? And like, for example, did your parents always come to your rescue? That might have played into the size of your heart and the fight that you have and the willingness to compete that you have. Did you quit a lot?
Yeah.
Right? Did you develop a habit of quitting when things got tough? That might have played into the kind of heart you have right now. Did your parents make excuses for your behavior, for your effort, for your mistakes? If so, then you probably, as an older teen or as an older adult, you probably feel a little bit entitled now. You're entitled, right? And so when you're entitled to something, you don't have to have heart for it. Why? Because you're supposed to give it to me. You're just supposed to give me what I want.
Yes.
Right? So how does that kid have heart? And how am I supposed to give it to him in the short term when in the long term, all of that's been going on?
Yep.
Because heart is a character trait, I believe.
Yeah.
And you are building the character of your kids, those of you who have them and are raising them.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good. I always say that, hopefully there's a day that I get an opportunity to go back and give credit to all the people that has positively influenced my life, specifically in my coaching realm. But, that's one reason I want to bring up, my Uncle Bernard, because, I was so blessed. I have been so blessed in my life. So fortunate, I'll say. I don't think I've well, I mean, God gave me that. I mean, he His grace presented me with these wonderful role models. I am a product of almost a perfect environment. I really am. And, I give all the credit that any success that I have, I got that from other people, and it's people around me. And, you saying that, we get these things at a very young age, and that's why the idea of losing people like Bernard Hussell, I feel like is so devastating on such a grander scale, because society's changing.
That kind of person isn't being built very much anymore.
They're really not. And I feel bad, for kids growing up in this world that are without those type of cornerstones in their life.
Yeah.
I really do. It is important. And, to reiterate, it's not, we've said it before, Coach, I've not had this, I've tried to protect my kids before, what I mean? And in times that I probably shouldn't have, But I'm becoming more aware. I'm becoming better at identifying these opportunities for my kids, for my players as well as even a coach, to get stronger in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
Instead of yelling, instead of complaining, instead of losing your temper, it's actually their golden opportunities to say, wow, what are you going to do now? Mm-hmm. Hey, no one's coming to save you.
Yep.
What are you going to do? Because you're going to be in this situation again sometime. That's life.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to know how to handle it. And a lot of it has nothing to do with the action that you take. It's your perspective and approach, and how you feel internally, how you handle it, how you deal with it, mentally. There are opportunities, and the parents as coaches, we need to look for those opportunities. And those, see, I think when people say, I think the idea that you can't coach heart is actually an X's and O's mentality.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Because they forget that there's more to coaching than just the sport.
Heart is developed through relationship.
Yeah.
Which does make it it makes it a longer process.
Yeah,
right?
Longer, more difficult.
X's and O's is different. You can get into a classroom and you could write on the chalkboard what we're going to do tonight. This is our plan. This is how we're going to teach it. This is how we're going to go over it. This is what you're going to execute. And let's go get it. Let's go do it. And that's part of coaching. It's part of coaching.
It is.
It's not coaching. It's part of coaching.
Yeah.
And a bigger part of coaching is developing the relationships with your players that might help them improve a heart that's been poorly developed over several years. Yeah. Because that's what we're seeing. When you're seeing a group of people out on a ball field that just don't play with heart, you're seeing a little bit about how they were raised, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right too.
And coaches can help. Coaches can help in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I guess the answer then sort of is, yeah, there is a little bit we can do, right? But I guess also as this, we started this topic thinking that we're going to be talking to coaches, but we're probably really more talking to parents right now.
Yeah, right now we are. Yeah,
and so this message, hits parents' ears, and they're like, "Daggone, my kid's already 10 and 12, and he's developed some of these habits that I've allowed." Well, here's the thing: there's still a lot of good formative years left, and here's the other thing: you can change.
Yeah,
you can change. Say that with us. I can change. I can change the way I parent. I can change the way I behave. I can change the way I approach things when my kid gets in trouble. Right? Yes. Has your kid ever experienced a consequence? And if the answer is no, because they didn't truly do anything wrong, it's always the other people that make it, right? Oh, come on. Yeah. Right? No, let them experience a consequence. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was let my child experience a really, really difficult consequence.
Yeah,
right? It was a tough thing for him to go through. Man, I made him into a better man, though. Absolutely made him into a better man. It was hard at the time. He had to miss baseball games. He had to miss 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Right? For a decision that he made.
Yeah.
And he had to own it.
Well.
And
probably made him a better player, too. All right, there's no doubt it made him a better player.
Yeah. He went after it.
Yeah.
He got after it on his own, and then he knew he was behind.
And see, there's the opportunity, too. And, you saying you can change, absolutely. You can change. That's the key. Like, we want our kids to be better people every day. We need to be better people every day. Mm-hmm. I need to be a better person every day. I have that. I want that. I want to be better. Coach, I'm fat.
Yeah, me too. Listen, I'm on an 8-day change right now.
Yeah, I know you've been back in the gym. I worked out yesterday.
Well, not just that.
It almost killed me.
I have been strictly eliminating a lot of the things that I have consumed.
It gets so easy
over the past year. Yeah,
it gets so easy, and you get so addicted to things.
You do.
You want it so much. Craziness. Yep. Sugar.
Yep. No sugar, no bread for me. Pretty much nothing white, basically. And I can feel it. I mean, sometimes it's like I feel like I'm going through some kind of detox sometimes, right?
You are.
Your body's like,
you really are.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're missing chemicals in your body
Right.
that you're used to having.
Right.
You are. But that's
And I'm ashamed to say that, because we've been on this podcast for what, 3 or 4 years now, and you and I have had ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
In our own personal journey,
Absolutely.
of the system that you and I talk about a lot, right? Have a routine and let's do this. And over the past, I don't know, since last spring probably, so almost, not quite a year, but almost that. I pretty much all summer I was just undisciplined. Yeah. I'll confess that to you guys right now. I was just undisciplined.
Yeah, I've been
it was the summer of Chris.
I've been at least for all summer, if not more than that summer of Chris.
Yeah, the summer of George.
But it's important. It's important to be that person that wants to get better for you, for your kids, for your players, that's important.
Yeah.
Being the best person you can be. Absolutely important. Talking about opportunities, as parents, as coaches, it's important for us to seek out those opportunities, to recognize the opportunities where our players and our kids have to struggle, right? They have to push through things. Like you mentioned there, it was really hard on you to allow your son to go through this trouble, but you knew it was what was best for him.
You got to think long term in order to be able to come to that conclusion.
You do, and so there's sacrifice involved in that, right? I would say you can implement that concept in practice. I give my buddy Coach Tim Lewis a shout out. We've always done these little games in our basketball practices, and let's just say for the past few years, and because of COVID and other things, we've had a diverse group of athletes in our basketball teams.
Some in shape, some not so much.
Some in shape, some not, some with a certain level of ability.
Yes,
some with not so much.
Some worked on their skills during 2020, right?
Yeah,
and
more
others
experience,
did not.
less experience. Yeah, right. So I would always, I'd be like, Coach would come up with some kind of weird competition, not really a competition, but a team goal, a team activity.
Yeah. Okay,
we're going to make 50 layups in a row without missing them, without any misses.
Sounds easy enough.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well,
48. Come on, fella. We got 2 more to go.
And sometimes you'd miss it.
Rims it out.
Yeah. But a lot of times, it's 24, it's 32, it's like, and you go, and I'm like, I'm a C personality coach, so I'm like, we're not on our practice schedule right now. We got to work on some plays here. We get some dribbling in. Right. And Coach Lewis is like, keep on going. We're counting them off, 12, 13, 14. They miss. 0. It's like 0. And it's just like, I said earlier, no one's coming to save you. He would implement that thought into our athletes.
Yeah.
Hey, we're wasting time here. We're missing out on other opportunities. We're sacrificing other opportunities. We're sacrificing our time because we can't focus, because we can't struggle through. We're not rising to the challenge mentally,
good.
physically.
You got 2 choices right here. You can whine about it, and just let it keep beating you, or you can frickin' bear down and get it done.
Square your shoulders up and get it done.
Yeah, that's instilling the kind of heart you want your team to have.
Absolutely.
It's still going to be the choice of the child, still going to be the choice of the student athlete, right? They're going to have to decide, okay, enough is enough. I'm doing this. And when they do, you just taught heart.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's heart. You know what I mean? I really do. And there was times that you're not for sure you're going to get through it. You're not sure. You might practice might be extended here a little bit, before we get through it.
You mean you got parents out in the parking lot waiting
possibly
till 7:30?
And he never
to pick their
buckled
kids
on that.
up.
He's like, we're going to get
supposed to be over at 5:30.
Yeah, something like that. He never wavered on it.
Yeah.
And it scared me sometimes, but to me that's there you go. There's a scenario where in practice you set it aside to practice heart, among other things.
And that's an example too where it truly is attainable. Like that's not unrealistic.
Right.
And the kids know that. Like we ought to be able to make 50 layups in a row as a team.
Yeah.
Free throws, that's a different story.
Sure. Yeah, right.
Now, college team might not be too big of a stretch.
Yeah.
Right. So the context, I think, is everything too. Yeah. Like I probably wouldn't do that drill with a group of 10-year-olds trying to play some upward basketball.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's
you got to
find a different way.
Yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Right. But just an example of a way that so practice was another one of my topics. So practice, person, passion, really person being the primary one there. I do think you can coach heart. I do. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I think those examples sort of show how that can be done. Mm-hmm. And it is. I mean, you're taking the heart that they have developed, because everybody has it. What's it look like? Who knows? But when you get it, you've got their heart now. And so it's a short-term thing. You don't have much time to do it. But what are you going to do? And I think some of those kinds of challenges help to develop that heart a little better. I mean, it can get better. Yeah. If it's a weak heart, you can make it stronger.
Sure. Because all you're doing is providing them experiences that they can fall back on in those moments when they need heart.
Yeah.
I've got another one, which I think is the most important above all. And I think I know you agree with me, and it's why on a this is a sports podcast, coaching podcast, player podcast,
a life podcast.
That's why we talk about our faith so much. Mm-hmm. And I correlate the concept of heart to joy.
Yeah.
Joy is that understanding that greater things await us in the middle of a challenging moment, in the middle of struggle.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to have faith. For me as an athlete, I want my athletes to have a faith in something. Preferably it's the same faith that I have, because I think ours is correct, right? Pretty confident in it. But that's for another day. But the concepts, the principles that we get out of Scripture, out of the Old Testament, from the ministry of Jesus Christ, are directly related to the type of person that we are. They're directly related to the type of athlete we are, and they are definitely related to the way that we handle ourselves in these moments that there might not be much hope. Because in those moments, you, I, people that share the same belief that we do, we know we have hope.
All right.
There is never a reason for us to not give the effort that is due, because we have something else waiting on us.
Whatever is in the deepest recesses of your soul that you hold the dearest in your life, that's going to probably show, it's going to manifest itself in everything you do. Right? And so sometimes when you see someone playing with a lot of heart, there's something deeper. It's not just about the game.
Yeah.
It's not just about that moment. There's a deeper need there. There's a deeper why.
Yeah, who could really validate that thought for us as a person is Nathan Rourke.
Indeed.
Because when he was when he sat in front of us and talk to us, he had aspirations of being an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Still does.
Yeah.
Looking like he might get a good shot.
Yeah, gets his foot healed up and everything. And
yeah. But he was off to a great start. And great, he's having a great year.
monumental year for CFL.
Here's the thing. What was his purpose? He sat right in front of us, said, I want people to know about Jesus.
Yeah.
And wherever I'm taken, whatever struggles or challenges or, disadvantages I have, that's still going to be my focus.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do that. That's joy.
It is.
It's not always happy. You're not happy about it all the time, but that's joy right there.
Yeah. And you're also showing where that joy comes from.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he said. There's whatever platform I get, whether it's a really big one or a really small one or none at all. Whatever it is that God gives me, that's going to be my motivation. That's going to be my why. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. So yeah, I think heart is coachable. It's teachable. You can learn it. You can get better at it. You can practice it. You can practice having heart.
Yeah.
The key is
you certainly can.
Yeah, for sure. And the key is recognizing those moments when, maybe you have to have a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And not asking not asking the parent to come in on the helicopter and lift you up and save you, or not asking for an easy way out. That's
it's the actual heart that we have in our chest is a muscle, and and so if you think about heart in the sense of a team sense or a character trait sense, think of it as a muscle, and realize that what. If I have a routine, a system, and I'm just going to start where I am and do a little bit to build it. I'm going to build it. I'm going to do it again and again and again and again, and maybe a little bit more once I get stronger at this. Once I get a little bit more, and that is going to build the kind of heart that, whatever it is that you see. I mean, we got a pretty good idea of positive behaviors versus negative behaviors, right? So just look at those and say, okay, I need more positive behaviors in my life. I need to get rid of these negative behaviors. So let me start with these positives, and the positives the more you focus on what you should do, the more the things you shouldn't do will get weeded out.
Sure.
Don't focus on the things you shouldn't do.
Yep.
Focus on what you should do, and then do those things. Do them, and your heart will change. It'll change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
This was serious conversation today.
It was.
Very little joking.
It was a good top.
Not much.
Good topic.
Yeah. I could tell you something funny though.
It
has nothing to do with heart.
Nothing got recorded that we.
No. This is fairly unedited. Not much of a need for editing in this one, I guess.
I don't think so.
So last night I come home from strength training, and it's already dark outside. And so we got the light, the front porch lights on, everything. Slugger's in the house barking. He wants to get out and pee and everything. And so I'm fiddling with unlocking my door, and I unlock it and open the door. And when I open the door, now our door, when it opens, April's got one of those wreaths on the door, like on the outside of the door, on the front door. And apparently there was a little bird in that wreath, like a little bird, like not a baby bird, but a small bird.
Okay.
When I opened the door, bird flew in the house.
Oh, gosh.
I had a bird in my house. So Slugger saw it. Gee, he's going nuts, right? Trying to chase this thing around. So now the bird's going nuts. I'm like, I just need it to land. So I put Slugger outside, and now I got to find the dang bird. And I look up, and it's on one of our lampshades. And all I can think of, this thing's going to crap all over our house. And like, how do I catch a bird? I don't have a net or anything. And so I looked down, and that we had April still has like a beach bag laying near the couch, where like our just grab and go bag whenever we'd go down to my parents' house. Of course, it's getting time to put that bag away. It's getting late in the season now. But thankfully it was there, because I could keep one eye on the bird, and I grabbed a beach towel and I walked over to that lamp and I tried to throw it on it. Bird took off. 20 minutes. I spent 20 minutes chasing that sucker around.
So what'd you do? Did you catch it?
Finally, I did catch it in my hands. I finally caught, because it got itself. It would just fly, like it would just take a straight. It was scared to death. It would take a straight flight over toward the living room, and then I'd go in there and I'd try to sneak up onto it and throw that towel over it or whatever, and it would take a straight flight to the kitchen, and then it would go to the dining room, and I'm just glad it didn't go upstairs. Although if it tried to go upstairs, it may have hit the ceiling fan. That'd have been the end of it. But it got itself cornered in the corner of our kitchen behind an air fryer. And I just opened the lid and stuck it in, and had dinner.
Surprised it just didn't keep.
And so
I was listening to what you said there.
So I'm like, oh, I got to get him. This is my chance. Like if he tries to fly away now, he's going to hit me in the face. And so I just kind of he's looking at me, and I just grabbed him, and I had him in both hands. I walk outside, and Slugger's his nose is going nuts. Like, what you got? Did you get him? You get him? I let him go, and he flew away. So
I'm going to be honest with you.
man.
I think you're very, very lucky that you caught that in 20 minutes.
I know that could have taken a while.
I'm surprised you didn't have to put the bird down.
Well, yeah,
I really am.
inside the house.
At
first, I thought it was a bat.
Ooh.
And I was like, yeah.
You don't want to catch a bat with your
So I was thankful that it was just a little bird.
Daggone, that stinks.
And so then I'm going all around the house looking for crap, Clorox wipes and
Did it crap in
everything
it?
else. I could only find one place.
Huh.
We got a leather couch in the
Oh, well, that's good
in the
if it's
front
one of the
room,
leather.
and basically in the front room, yeah, and just wipes right off.
You're right, right.
So it's not.
I mean, all
it's
right.
not real. It's like what do you call it? Leather? Or, I don't know. I don't think it's real leather, but we like it.
I've had birds, and there's actually a religious sentiment behind chasing a bird around in a building, but I guess I could tell it real quick. So
Okay.
not to leave everyone out. So I've had a bunch of birds go into my garage and won't leave.
Yeah, I have that
Nothing.
happen all the time.
And
yeah.
like they never leave. Like I'll fight, and they stay up in the rafters, and you chase
And they
them.
will crap all over your garage.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah.
And can't get them out. Comes nighttime, can't get them out. Shut the door, and you go back in there the next day, they're still in there, and and I'm soft heart, I'm old tender heart. I don't like to see things die.
Okay.
So I'm looking up at this bird, I'm like, just get out, just go.
You're talking
Go.
to it.
I'm not trying to hurt you. Just go, get out,
Please.
yeah.
Yes.
And you mess around, and it's kind of there's a celebration there when it finally goes out.
Yeah.
But I leave my garage door open a lot, and I probably shouldn't, because it opens up the opportunity for that. But that's the I've heard that story told, like an old farmer was had a bird in its barn, and the old farmer was just telling, just couldn't understand if the bird would just listen. Listen to me. I'm trying to save your life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what God does to us. If you think
I'm going to give you away.
Yeah,
Just take
and
it.
think about I'm me. I know. I recognize the frustration of trying to get that bird out of the garage, and I know you do now. Trying to track it down. You're just like, just sit still. Just let me take you out.
Yeah. You don't want to be in here any more than we want you in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me help you, and that's the frustration that God feels when He's
Right.
looking down at us, and we do all the stupid things that we do that isn't following His will. So
That's a great
That's a
point.
bit- yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. So you took our funny story and turned it into something serious. I like it.
it's a day for seriousness,
That's
I
right.
guess.
I got one more serious thing for you before we sign off here.
Okay.
My son Brock and daughter-in-law Allie
That's right.
are expecting.
Yes,
They're having a
congratulations.
baby. Yes. We had to tell our podcast listeners that. It's out there. It's public now, so it's that's
I
a thing.
did think about bringing that up today. I'm
That's
sorry.
all right.
I'm sorry you had to do that. I was really thinking about bringing it up.
No. It's I should be the one to bring it up. So there you go. I did. It's going to be a girl. They know. They got the the what is it? The sex told to them.
The gender reveal.
Yeah, and it is a girl.
Okay.
So they're going to call her she when she gets born and everything.
Okay.
So. But February 4th is the due date.
February 4th.
You know what that is?
No.
That's opening day for Alderson Broadus baseball in Virginia.
Oh, welcome to parenthood, Brock.
Yep. And what's funny, I tell you what's funny about that is when Brock was born in 1998, we were living in St. Louis, okay? He was due on August 9th. 8th, I think it was either 8th or 9th, I don't know. He ended up being born August 13th. Not August, September, this month. His birthday is today.
Oh.
Happy birthday, Brock.
There you go.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Coach.
And so he was due on I keep saying August, September 13th. And he was due September 9th, born on September 13th. So Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were in the hunt to beat Roger Maris's record, and it was a race, a legit race.
Wow.
They were both sitting on number 60, and the Cubs were in town playing the Cardinals on September 8th and 9th and 10th, okay? And so I had season tickets. We went to every game, and April is due, and we don't have cell phones.
Honey, I got to go.
We had a pager. Actually, I said, I'm not going. I was nervous, right? And she said, you are going to that game. And I went, no, what happens? She goes, listen, if I go into labor, I'll page you our emergency number. It's a half an hour from the stadium to our house. If I have to go, I'll call Jamie. I'll call some friends and they'll come get me and you can meet us at the hospital. She said, it's not going to happen. I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen today. I said, all right. And my brother Jared was out there with us. He was living with us at the time, going to school out there. And so I said, well, listen, if we're going to this game, this was back when they let you make banners and hang them in the stadiums. They don't let you do that anymore. You notice that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like you can hold a sign up, but you can't drape a banner over in a stadium. But they would let you do that.
They let you do it in football stadiums.
Do they still let you do it? Maybe some stadiums.
Maybe not. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah. So I went and got an old white sheet, and just spray painted, my wife is having a baby, but I'm here to see McGuire hit 61 and 62. Because he was hitting like 2 a game sometimes, right? And 61 was the tying home run. 62 would have been the record-breaking one.
Right.
And so we took that down and hung it. We asked the usher, hey, are we allowed to hang this here? We hung it over the railing right beside the miles per hour, the pitch velo.
So this was on TV
sign.
though.
And it was on TV a lot. Yeah. So I guess Harold Baines and Ozzy, not Harold Baines, Harold Reynolds, maybe was he used to be. It was Joe Buck was broadcast. Whoever Joe Buck was broadcasting with,
Harold Reynolds.
Sounds, did he do some with Joe?
I think so. Yeah.
April was watching the game on TV, and Harold said something about this. Like when they showed the sign, he's like, I don't know. However big of a baseball fan that guy's wife is, if she has this baby while he's there, he's never going to live that down. He said something like that. She videotaped it. She has that game on a VHS.
Oh man, I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's not. I'm surprised you're not a meme, Coach.
So yeah, it's funny. But anyway, so that's a cool birthday. Brock being born during baseball, his child going to be born during baseball, and it happens to be his birthday today as we were recording. So how about that?
I'll be darned. Well, yeah, happy birthday, Coach, and best wishes to you and Allie on the new one there. And I think when I found out, I sent you a message.
You did.
Congratulating you, giving you my well-spoken
in your way
of heartfelt congratulations to you.
I think it was. I got to scroll up here to find it, but I think it was somewhere along the line of "Congrats, Gramps."
I think I said I said, congrats, you're really old.
Yeah, you're older. Yeah, that's right. It makes you feel older. But it's exciting, though.
It is.
Really exciting.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Happy for you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to rescue that child from every trouble that she might.
Well, you can do that. You're the grandpa.
That's right. There you go. It's going to be up to you to make her face the consequences, Brock and Allie. So.
Shoot. Good talking to you, Coach.
Yep.